spontaneous and adventurous.
As a cultural identity.
Adaptability. Dance is a universal language. It's a way of expressing yourself without having to explain why. And as a third culture kid, that's what brought so many cultures together, and it formed incredible friendships without having to explain why we felt the way that we did. It is an experience for me. I danced for so many years in many events, the biggest being the 75th anniversary of Aramco, where my Latin troupe, which was called the Doharan Latin Troupe, we were able to perform in front of 6 very important kings of the Middle East. It was such a beautiful moment that you felt important, even for a second. You felt like you were doing something bigger than yourself.
Home will always be home, and even though it may be a distant memory, it may be a place where you can't return to, it will always be home, and it's always a place that will always be in your heart no matter where you are in the world. And I think that's something very special and something that everyone should cherish.
When I was around from the age of 13 around to 17, I had a quite difficult time trying to identify myself into like a certain social community. Now this is because I didn't really belong in the Korean group, because whenever I talked to a Korean who lived in Korea for a really long time, I had a lot of difficulties trying to get to know the person and connecting with the person. And so a lot of the times I felt that we were really different.
By spontaneous, I mean you never know exactly what to expect. You are always faced with opportunities and experiences you never phantomed. People come and go, and you are able to quickly assemble and disband relationships. You also never know when your last day will be in your current home. As for adventurous, you are able to travel worldwide and learn about different cultures. You have the opportunity to learn a new language and a new cuisine. You get to go to countries you didn't even know existed beforehand. The world is your dance floor. You have so many opportunities to indulge in.
Not being afraid to try new things, being able to move around and, I guess, adapt to the new environment. It takes 1 year or 5 years. I guess we have the ability to do that because we're so used to it, because we were brought up knowing that we were going to leave. We were told from the beginning that this is not your home. You're going to leave when your dad retired, and you probably won't be able to come back.
Immersing yourself in a culture that is not your own. To put yourself out there and take the newness with adventure and awe. It isn't something that is easy to explain. Being a third culture kid means you have at least 3 cultures, 3 countries, 3 places that you can call your own. That the memories and friendships that have been formed with people so different, yet so similar. It causes your mindset to change due to the experience you have had, and being okay with not having a place to call home. There isn't just one home. There are millions from your travels, and home becomes a feeling.
Holding on to the memories of your past and being able to bring that in and tie that into your current, while staying true to yourself and true to your culture and to your parents' culture.
I'm ethnically Korean, and that I can't change, obviously, but my language that I'm much more confident in is English, because I've been taught that for all my years of schooling.
Being a third culture kid, you are sort of the modern day nomad. You don't necessarily know who you affiliate yourself with, what country you truly consider home. You don't really have a permanent home. You have temporary homes throughout your whole entire life. The good side to that is you get to experience different aspects of different cultures, and you can travel the world and acquire more knowledge and meet different people and learn valuable lessons you wouldn't learn otherwise if you were living in a permanent home. There's a theory called social identity theory, and this theory talks about who we are and where do we fit in with people. And as a third culture kid, you struggle with that because you don't really know who you are. You kind of just have so many different personalities, and you kind of try to fit into different groups all at once.
It's how I identify myself, and people don't know what it is or what it means, and it's great to explain it and make people think, oh, this person is not as superficial as they seem. There's actually a lot more to this person. You don't really identify with one country, but in fact, the world is our home rather than one country, one city, or one place. I do know for sure that where I grew up will always remain home, even though I can't go back, even though I'm not from there technically, but because I was born and raised there and all my childhood memories are there, my friends, even though we've all moved to different countries, I'm still in touch with them because that's the kind of environment that we grew up with. It's something you can't really sort of forget.
Hello, my name is Nicole Suarez. I am not your typical girl, for I was born in San Francisco, California, with a Colombian heritage. That, in and of itself, is a lot, but it gets more complex than that. You see, my father was constantly moving from place to place all over the United States for his job. We moved with him and found ourselves in Venezuela for 2 years, until a new project came that had us all move to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It wasn't an easy transition, as this was a very unique culture. As 2 young girls, my sister, a baby of 3, and me, a toddler of 5, we took in the environment around us and played in the sand. Our new adventure awaited us. After we enrolled in school, we found just how easy it was to make friends. Our classmates and teachers welcomed us with open arms. And this was new, especially to me. I was hesitant at first, but then joined in, and the most incredible memories came. I formed amazing friendships with those who had cultures and backgrounds very different from mine. We bonded over the similarities in interests, personalities, and this new life that we found ourselves in.
My name is Mireille Najjar, and I consider myself a third culture kid. I grew up in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, in the Aramco compound, and I lived there until I was about 18 years old. Right after high school, I moved to Lebanon to continue my undergraduate studies. I studied there for 4 years, and then I moved to Boston to continue my studies in nutrition. So I have both a bachelor's and a master's degree in nutrition.
Everyone, my name is Seungyeon Lee, and I'm Korean. But I guess the situation is much more complex than that, because I am a third culture kid. I was born in Korea, and then after 2 years, I moved to Saudi Arabia because of my parents' job. And from then on, elementary, middle, and high school, I spent my entire life there, so for around 16 years. And then after graduating high school, I moved to Korea again, and I'm currently in university here.
My name is Yasmina Alzagate. I'm Libyan Canadian. I never actually lived in Libya, but that's where my grandparents originally are from. I was born in Finland, and when I was 4, we moved to Canada. When I was 10, or 11 actually, we moved to Saudi Arabia. As you can see, those 2 countries are at 2 different ends of the spectrum, but they both are places I call home.
My name is Yasmin El Ansari. I'm a third world culture kid. I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia. I'm Arab, and I am Palestinian Jordanian, and I moved to my passport country, Jordan, where I did my high school for 4 years, and then I moved to England, where I did my undergraduate degree, and now I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, undertaking a master's degree.
Growing up in Aramco, in the little American town that was created especially for us expats, it was the perfect setting. We were each from very different cultures and backgrounds, but from that we were able to form these incredible friendships. And to be a part of that now, living in America and seeing, well, the difference, it really brings you to have this open-mindedness about everyone. You aren't quick to judge people as some would. You take people for who they are and you let them come to you, and then you try to learn from them of who they are, where they came from. The downside has been that people look at you differently. A lot of people have this mentality that you're supposed to act or be this way, and when you're not, that's when it gets hard to make friends. The first few years that I was here in America, it was very difficult because I didn't feel like I fit in.
You know, to me, being a third culture kid is understanding and appreciating different cultures that exist, being able to adapt to different cultures and traditions while still holding on to your own. You know, I think growing up in Aramco, I just think that it was such a blessing. And at the time, I didn't really realize it up until I left, because I realized that I had the opportunity to meet amazing people from all over the world, and I had the opportunity to grow and learn and adapt in a multicultural environment at such a young age. And I think that really has allowed me to be more open to new cultures and traditions. And I think that's one of the greatest things that could have ever happened.
A lot of people don't understand how a lot of foreigners think or believe or act. So, and Koreans tend to really like to group up. So if they find it problematic when a certain person or a certain group of people, usually foreigners, are a bit different, that was kind of shunned in my first semester of university.
You don't have a permanent home. So when you are asked where you're from, you think of home number 1, home number 2, home number 3, and you don't necessarily have one home, which sometimes feels like too much, because you start questioning yourself, like, where do I truly belong, or where do I really fit in?
And I think it has definitely changed and molded me into the person that I am today. It has taught me to stay grounded, but it has made me very culturally aware. I have friends from all over India, America, Europe, Australia. It's really difficult to try and explain to people where I'm from, but I guess it is an interesting story. But it does tell you how globalization does exist, and that the world is becoming more like this and less separated, and it's more of a melting pot than anything else. And I guess that's the greatest thing ever.